and under different headings. So please be clear with this. All right. Now let me come to another basic concept, that is okay. So let's start with constitution now. Indian polity. Indian polity is a broad term. Under Indian polity, basically we would be going through the constitutional provisions. So there is a constitution. There is a constitution. All right. Now you tell me, uh, what do you? बेटा आप बताइए, why constitution is required?
Sir, to work, to run the country in
All of principles, basic principles. So it tells us about the basic principle. Tells us about the basic principles of the country. Basic principles that have to be followed in a country. All right. Like example इन्होंने दिया कि जैसे we are democracy, तो आपका यही कहना है ना कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में भी ये लिखा होना चाहिए कि डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री डेमोक्रेटिक होनी चाहिए. एनीवन एल्स? एनी अदर थिंग? Yes, anyone else? Okay. This side?
Constitution is dynamic.
Constitution is dynamic. Okay. अभी ना आप उसके फीचर्स के बारे में ना बताओ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के. अभी केवल आप इस चीज पे फोकस करो कि व्हाट यू मीन बाय कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, व्हाई कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज रिक्वायर्ड इन अ कंट्री. सो मोर और लेस जो ऑब्जर्वेशंस आपकी तरफ से आए हैं वो ये हैं कि देयर मस्ट बी सम लॉज, देयर मस्ट बी सम रूल्स, देयर मस्ट बी सम प्रिंसिपल्स. ठीक है. एंड अगेन फॉर दैट वी रिक्वायर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. वी रिक्वायर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. ठीक है. क्यों कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ही क्यों? हम लॉ भी बना सकते थे बेटा. हाँ जी.
they are basically made to avoid the conflicts in the country.
ओके. बेसिकली इनका ये कहना है कि इफ देयर इज अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट देन अगेन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विल come into the picture. Anyone else?
Sir, a constitution is something that must be followed by some people of all the people of country, whole people of the country.
Okay.
Set of rules that must not be neglected. If there is some kind of conflict, then constitution must be preferred. That yes, what constitution is saying about what our rights are and what actually written over there. That what must be followed, what principles must be followed, what should be like. If anything is happening,
Okay.
what is the manner?
ठीक है. अब मुझे आप ये बताएं कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म में क्या फर्क है? आर दे वन एंड सेम और इज देयर एनी डिफरेंस? व्हाट इज एन आइडियोलॉजी बेटा? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन?
Adoption of a constitution by the country that can be said as constitutionalism.
What is more important बेटा, having a constitution or having constitutionalism? क्यों बेटा, ऐसा क्यों?
Society is abide by the laws of right to equality, fraternity, and these basic features that are required by humans for
Okay.
their survival.
तो बेसिक फीचर्स होते हैं कुछ ह्यूमन सर्वाइवल के लिए, कुछ ह्यूमन एग्जिस्टेंस के लिए बेसिक फीचर्स हैं और वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म प्रोवाइड करता है. आपका ये कहना है? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ये सब चीजें नहीं होती हैं.
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में और कुछ भी इंक्लूड हो सकता है, जैसे कि मान लीजिए उनकी वोटिंग कैसे करानी है, ये सब. जैसे कि अगर उनको ध्यान, जैसे कि इक्वालिटी है जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में आता है कि होना चाहिए, तो हम इक्वालिटी से वोट कराएंगे कि जो भी है यहाँ पर कि ना उसमें डिफरेंस करेंगे इसका, चीज का, तो वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का गारंटी करता है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में.
Okay, let me remind you these terms, whatever we are going through, this we would be using under different headings. This we would be using to understand different aspects of Indian polity. All right. So we should be clear with that what we mean by constitution in simple words and what do we understand by constitutionalism. ठीक है. आप लोग ये कह रहे हो कि जो constitution है that can have other things also, other aspects also. But when it comes to constitutionalism, correct me where I'm wrong, where I'm not taking you in the correct manner. Where we have constitutionalism, constitutionalism means that there are the basic features which are required for human existence, the basic principles which are required uh, for human survival, they are taken care of. तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म जो है वो एक ब्रॉडर टर्म है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो है वो एक नैरोअर टर्म है. Am I right, or is there any other observation from your side? Should we go through this thing? Should we move further?
Constitutionalism leads to making of the constitution.
Constitutionalism leads to
making of the constitution.
making of the constitution. Okay. Any other thing? Any other thing? Any other idea which is coming to your mind?
That there can be a constitutionalism without a constitution.
There can be a constitution. There can be constitutionalism without having a constitution. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, I am thinking just its opposite. There can be a constitution, but at the same time, the country or the government is not following constitution.
We do not have any constitution, but there is constitution.
These days, I guess every country is having written constitution.
No.
Okay. Any other thing? Any other thing? Yes. Any other observation? Please be interactive, beta. Otherwise, it would be boring, and again, uh, things won't be that clear. Please come up with your observations, and that will help you at every stage which you have to go through. See, before we come to this thing, let's once again let me tell you the significance of Indian polity. All right. There are three stages, beta, or you can take it as four stages. Meaning, by first you have to clear your pre. You need to be clear with the facts. All right. You need to be clear with the facts. You need to be clear with the articles, the provisions which we have under Indian polity, under our Indian constitution. One thing. You should be thorough with that. No excuse. You should be clear with what article says what. Second stage of your preparation is you have to clear your mains. Mains is where you have to write, where you have to reflect, where you have to give impression of what you have understood, what you have gathered facts, you know the facts, you know the factual reality. Now, using that facts, can you write an answer or not? Can you reflect the facts in your answer or not? This is your second stage. All right. And now the thing is, then comes your third stage where you have to clear your interview. Interviews again, interview again is a stage where you are required to again give impression of that what you have studied so far. Can you explain that or not? Orally, can you explain that or not? All right, so this is your third stage, and again, the facts which are there, there would be many problems which they will put up against you, in front of you. Again, you have to come up with solutions. And let me tell you, being officer, the best which they expect from your side is that you should be legally correct. You should be the position which you would be taking, the solution which you would be giving, that must be balanced. And what is a balanced position? Again, that understanding, that wisdom you can have only when you know the basic features, the basic principles which run a particular country. All right. And then comes, once you are selected, when you are in your job, you would be joining respective offices, and again, that job will expect that job which you will end up to, that will expect maturity from your side, that will expect wisdom from your side. Have you seen Article 15 movie? Article 15 movie, they have stressed on this point that once an officer is selected, all right, the ideals which are there, the values which are there, all right, the mores which are there, all right, the basic features which are there, all right, we should not ignore them. Okay. Uh, Everyone goes through Indian polity. All right. And again, equality is something which we again everyone will support. All right. Once you join an office, then you should be clear with that right to equality is a fundamental thing which is enshrined in our constitution. So this makes the complete picture better. This makes the complete thing. And again, if you are comfortable in these four stages, no one can stop you. No one can stop you. Let me make it very clear. All right. Now coming back to what we mean by constitution and what we mean by constitutionalism. Let me keep it short. We can have a constitution. We can have a constitution, but the thing is, the constitutionalism is there or not. There is a constitution is not guarantee of that. All right. Meaning by Hitler. Everyone knows Hitler regime. ठीक है, Hitler was having his own constitution. All right, and again it was not based on the fundamental principles which are required to run a particular country. All right, so meaning by having a constitution is not that important. What is important, what is more important is having constitutionalism. Constitutionalism are basic values, basic, you can say value system which is taken care of. For example, equity, equality, fraternity, or brotherhood, all these are basic features again which every common man will support, that these values must be given importance in every country. So these are two terms which we would be using, having a constitution, having constitutionalism. So meaning by constitutionalism is a broader term when compared to constitution. All right. So this is there. Now coming to one more thing. What is the connection between law and constitution? What is the connection between constitution and law? Constitution provides the law. Anyone else? His
Sir, constitution creates the needs of the need of the law. Like if there is something mentioned like there should be right, there must be law for that. How to provide people right in this manner.
anyone else?
The Constitution provides the abiding force to the law.
Okay. You all would be part of governance. Everyone agrees? Very soon, joining services, you would be part of governance. What do you mean by governance? Then we will come to law and this constitution thing. What do you mean by governance? Yes, बेटा आप बताएं. What do you mean by governance? गवर्नेंस का क्या मतलब होता है? शासन करना. क्या क्या होता है बेटा इसमें शासन करने में? क्या क्या होता है? सरकार होती है, नियम होते हैं, नियम को लागू करना होता है, ये शासन होता है बेटा. शासन करना क्या होता है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल दीजिए. आप सही बोल रहे हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल दीजिए. ब्रिंग इट मोर नियर टू कॉमन मैन. यस. प्रॉपर जस्टिस मिलनी चाहिए, गवर्नेंस का पार्ट है. ठीक है. और कुछ और इजी एग्जांपल दीजिए बेटा. हाँ जी बेटा बताइए.
Whatever laws are made, so how to make other people follow them, and if someone is not following it, so what type of punishment should be given?
ठीक है. क्या क्या आता है बेटा इसमें? लेजिस्लेशन आता है, एग्जीक्यूटिव आता है और जुडिशरी आता है, गवर्नेंस. और कोई बेटा और को एनीवन एल्स? आप बताएं बेटा. हाँ जी.
So it means to work in conformity with the as describe?
From cradle to grave, we have to deal with government authorities. In other words, from birth certificate to death certificate, we have to deal with a range of different government authorities. In other words, throughout our life, we have to deal with government authorities. Human existence, human survival in practical manner is directly linked with the government authorities. In every system, beta, in every system, we may have different governance, we may have different government models. Different countries can have different models of government, but one thing is common: every country requires governance because we have some day-to-day affairs which have to be taken care of. And we being individuals, we cannot take care of every requirement of ours. We require some authorities, and that is why government is there, governance is there. So governance is everywhere, beta. One thing, governance is for our day-to-day activities. There are lots of services which government has to provide, और जो providing services होती है ना बेटा, providing services comes under the domain of governance. तो गवर्नमेंट तो जिसको हम चुनते हैं, जो उसका जो काम होता है, जैसे शासन करने की आप बात कर रहे थे, तो वो होता है गवर्नेंस बेटा, ठीक है. एंड वी हैव टू डील विद गवर्नेंस. And when you all would be joining your office, you will be part of the governance. You would be the part of the governance, beta. All right, you would be having authority. People would be coming to you, all right, for again, and you have to deliver the services which would be required at that point of time. Clear? So this is the thing. Governance is there. Governance, and again that is why year after year, from time to time, there is an emphasis on good governance. Governance must be in such a manner. Every 25th December, we celebrate Good Governance Day, and the reason is, again, governance must be good. If we have good governance, it means everything is okay. All right. The welfare, the people welfare is getting importance if you have good governance. गुड गवर्नेंस से बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं बेटा, जैसे कि ट्रांसपेरेंसी होता है, अकाउंटेबिलिटी होता है, ठीक है, चीजें ट्रांसपेरेंट हो, ठीक है, चीजें जो अथॉरिटीज हैं दे आर अकाउंटेबल, ठीक है, एब्सोल्यूट पावर नहीं होनी चाहिए. ये सारे के सारे जो हैं बेटा, ये गुड गवर्नेंस के प्रिंसिपल्स हैं. तो गवर्नेंस इज देयर. ऑलराइट, गवर्नेंस प्रॉपरली हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है, यहां पर भी देयर मस्ट बी सम लॉज टू बी टेकन केयर ऑफ. एग्जाम्पल देता हूं बेटा, विद एग्जाम्पल आई विल एक्सप्लेन यू. हम ट्रांसपेरेंसी की बात करते हैं, हम अकाउंटेबिलिटी की बात करते हैं, ठीक है, हम एब्सोल्यूट पावर को कंट्रोल करने की बात करते हैं. अक्सर हम लोग इस चीज पे जोर डालते हैं बेटा, और इसी के लिए ही आरटीआई एक्ट वाज पास्ड, राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन. क्योंकि राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन एक्ट जब पास किया गया, तो अगेन द प्राइमरी मोटो वाज कि जब आप इंफॉर्मेशन आपसे मांगी जाएगी, तो अगेन इट वुड प्रमोट ट्रांसपेरेंसी, एंड अगेन इट वुड प्रमोट ट्रांसपेरेंसी, और इससे जो ऑफिसर्स हैं दे विल बिकम मोर अकाउंटेबल, और इसका जो आफ्टर रिजल्ट होगा दैट वुड बी वेलफेयर ऑफ द पब्लिक. विद दिस मोटो, with this pious motto, again different laws are framed. This is one of the example. All right, so coming down to the point, and that point is we require laws. All right, we have lots of laws beta, we have lots of laws. All right, If I talk about only environment field, there are more than 200 laws in India that deal directly or indirectly with environment protection, public improvement. I'm talking only about environment. So you can imagine how many laws we would be having. Clear? We have minor laws, we have central laws, we have state laws, we have local laws, we have range of different laws. ठीक है, we are surrounded by different laws. Clear? आप बाहर जाते हैं, क्रॉसिंग आ जाएगा ट्रैफिक वाला, तो अगेन लाइट, रेड लाइट यू डोंट हैव टू क्रॉस, देयर इज अ लॉ फॉर दैट. आप क्रॉस करते हैं तो अगेन यू कैन बी फाइंड, लॉ इज देयर. ऑल राइट. On road, again there are certain rules which have to be followed. All right. Everywhere we are in this institution, academic institutions के अलग rules हैं, अलग regulations हैं. So meaning by we are surrounded by different laws. Without law, we cannot expect a society, and that is why we started with this. To be societies, it is just where there is a society, there is a law. Again, proving the same thing here. All right. Now coming to what is the relationship between law and constitution. Law, let's take it that you three are in governance. All right, you are the decision maker, you are coming up with a law. All right, you have come up with a law. Now the thing is there can be a conflict. There can be a conflict, or let's take it in another manner, and that another manner is that you three came up with a law, and that law has certain shortcomings. कुछ limitations हैं, आपने हर चीज को cover नहीं किया. So again, there must be a forum. There must be forum where we can whom we can approach, and we can tell them that the law which has come from the government, again that has certain flaws, that has certain limitations. All right, one thing. Second, let's take you as a person who is a decision maker at central level, and let's take her as someone at state level. You come up with your own law, beta. Okay? And she also comes up with a law at state level. So we have a law at central level, we have a law at state level, and again there is a conflict. Let's take it, there is a field where both of you can make a law, and if there is a conflict, again in that scenario also there must be a forum whom we can approach if there is a conflict in law. दो बातें मैंने आपके साथ की हैं, दोनों बातों पे फोकस करिएगा. पहला है कि गवर्नमेंट हैज कम अप विद अ लॉ, एंड दैट लॉ हैज सर्टेन फ्लॉज. कुछ फ्लॉज हैं उसमें, कमियां रह गई, तो एक फोरम होना चाहिए जिसको हम अप्रोच कर सकें. क्लियर? सेकंड है कि एक ऐसी डोमेन है जहां पर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट भी लॉ बना सकती है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट भी लॉ बना सकती है. दोनों अपने लेवल पे लॉ बनाते हैं, और कन्फ्लिक्ट हो जाता है. कन्फ्लिक्ट हो रहा है, दिक्कत किसको होगी? आप सबको. यू वुड बी पार्ट ऑफ गवर्नेंस. आप इंप्लीमेंट नहीं कर पाएंगे, आप उसको लागू नहीं कर पाएंगे, दिक्कत आएगी. इट वुड बी रिपोर्टेड. अगेन देयर मस्ट बी अ फोरम whom we can approach if there is a conflict in law. Shortcoming of law, conflict in law के लिए हम अप्रोच करते हैं एक फोरम को, and that forum is which you were talking about, judiciary. ठीक है, we would approach judiciary. We have judiciary whom we can approach. All right. Now the thing is, now it is before the judiciary. Now before judiciary क्या है? वहां पर आप लॉ लेके गए हो, लॉ में आप बार बार वहां से आर्ग्यू कर रहे हो, जो भी आपका केस परस्यू कर रहा है वो बता रहा है कि सर योर लॉर्डशिप, जो ये पर्टिकुलर लॉ है इसमें ये शॉर्टकमिंग्स हैं. ठीक है, ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो रहा है स्टेट लॉ में, सेंट्रल लॉ में. ठीक है, तो वहां पर in that condition, in that situation, in that scenario, judiciary must have certain certain principles using which shortcomings can be resolved. There must be certain principles, there must be some values using which conflict can be resolved. So for that, let me make it very clear. Let me make it very clear. Let me be very loud and clear in this regard that it is here where constitution comes into the picture. Where constitution comes into the picture, constitution is a savior, is a great savior whenever whenever governance is in a difficult situation where there are shortcomings that have to be resolved, where there is a conflict that has to be resolved, then constitution comes into the picture, and using constitutional values, using constitutional principles, using constitutional provisions, things are resolved and situation becomes normal. Any doubt in this regard? So there must be a constitution. There must be a constitution, and that is why, in other words, let me make it more uh, catchy, and that catchy phrase is कि we all at every point of our life, especially for you guys who would be part of governance, you must be constitutionally correct. You must be constitutionally correct. Again, I will give reference of that movie Article 15. In Article 15, they have emphasized on this point that we must be constitutionally correct. If Article 15 is there, it has to be followed. And we must have that in our mind. That should be reflected in our actions. That must be reflected in our actions. So what is there, what we have in our constitution, that has to be given primary importance. That has to be given primary importance. This has to be there, and everything has to be constitutionally correct. And if something, अब इसका एक और मतलब निकलता है जिसका भी अक्सर आप अखबार में पढ़ेंगे कि इसको अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल घोषित कर दिया गया. तो अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अगर कोई चीज को घोषित कर दिया गया है, इफ समथिंग has been turned to be unconstitutional, something has been declared as unconstitutional, then in that scenario, if we follow that unconstitutional path, that will not be the correct way. That will not be the correct approach. So our focus always must be that we have to give utmost importance to the constitution. This is something which you have to take care every time. All right. There are different laws. And about law, let me tell you one more thing which you can use at every stage. Behind every law, beta, you will find that behind every law, there is intellectual debate, and behind an intellectual debate, always you will find there will be a problem which has to be addressed. Behind every law, beta. Behind every law. Applicable to every law, whether national, whether local, whether international. किसी भी टाइप का लॉ हो, हर लॉ पे ये सिनेरियो एप्लीकेबल होता है बेटा. बिहाइंड एवरी लॉ देयर इज इंटेलेक्चुअल डिबेट, और उस इंटेलेक्चुअल डिबेट के पीछे हमेशा कोई ना कोई प्रॉब्लम होती है दैट हैज टू बी एड्रेस्ड. क्लियर? अब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को यहां पे रखते हैं. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज अ सुप्रीम लॉ. ठीक है? फॉर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन द वर्ड विच यू वुड बी यूजिंग इज द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज अ सुप्रीम लॉ ऑफ अ कंट्री. सुप्रीम लॉ ऑफ अ कंट्री. Supreme of a law of a country, meaning by other laws derive light from constitution. In other words, every law has to be constitutionally correct. Any doubt in this regard? So constitution is the supreme law. ठीक. Behind that there was intellectual debate. तो जब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकर्स जब इसको बना रहे थे तो वो इंटेलेक्चुअल डिबेट चल रहा था. ठीक. और जब वो बना रहे थे तो देयर वर सर्टेन इश्यूज दैट हैड टू बी टेकन केयर ऑफ. इनहेरेंट कुछ दिक्कतें थी उस समय. ठीक है. और दैट वर टेकन केयर ऑफ. तो हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे भी ये लागू होता है जो हमारा सुप्रीम लॉ है. क्लियर. और एक वर्ड और है बेटा विच यू कैन ऑलवेज यूज. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को सुप्रीम लॉ कहते हैं. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को ग्रैंड नॉर्म भी कहते हैं. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज अ ग्रैंड नॉर्म. Norm means rules. Norms means which is considered to be normal. All right. Norms. So there must be some norms. ठीक है. There must be some values which have to be followed. और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को ग्रैंड नॉर्म कहा जाता है जो कि इट इज द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फ्रॉम वेयर all norms, all values, all value systems, all laws, all legal systems derive light from. All right. And this is the reason कि जब भी हमें किसी चीज को चैलेंज करना होता है तो उसकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन उसका जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल स्टेटस है हम उसको चैलेंज करते हैं. और अगर आप परस्यू कर ले जाते हैं अपनी चीज को ओनली देन रिलीफ इज ग्रांटेड बाय द जुडिशरी. अदरवाइज योर स्टैंड इज नॉट दैट you can say you cannot stand before the judiciary if the constitutional angle, if you are not clear with the constitutional position. So again coming down to the point that please be in a situation, you should be, your preparation should be at this level where you are clear with the constitutional provisions, you are very much clear with the constitutional values which are there, silent features of Indian Constitution, the basic features, the basic principles of Indian Constitution. You should be clear with that. Before we move further, before we come down to the main heading, one more thing that I want to share with all of you is, as we are, this is the introductory class. So let me make it one more thing that this would be helping you. Indian polity, understanding of Indian polity will be helping you in 4 stages. I told you at pre, at mains, in your interview also. In an interview, वो आपका जो एक आपके कितनी क्लियरिटी है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रिंसिपल्स की वो इसका इंप्रेशन जरूर लेते हैं. तो यू शुड हैव दैट थिंग. एंड अगेन व्हेन यू वुड बी जॉइनिंग योर सर्विस आफ्टर दैट इन योर ऑफिस आल्सो यू हैव टू बी क्लियर विद व्हाट यू हैव लर्नड, व्हाट यू हैव गॉन थ्रू. नाउ द थिंग इज कि इसके अलावा भी बहुत सारे सब्जेक्ट्स ऐसे होते हैं कि वेयर योर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजीशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ऑलराइट. लाइक इकोनॉमिक्स इज देयर. So economics में what happened because of GST, so there is a constitutional positions also. In that regard there are constitutional provisions also. So constitution is your Indian polity, understanding of Indian polity is linked with economics also. All right. Political science, again political science, there is lots of constitution provisions which have to be taken care of. So in political science also Indian polity becomes very important. Same thing goes with public administration also. Public administration is where you would be dealing with governance, where you would be talking about new public management, you would be talking about good governance. All that again is directly linked with Indian polity. इसके अलावा जो और ह्यूमैनिटीज के सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल सोशियोलॉजी इज देयर. सोशियोलॉजी में भी देर आर लॉट्स ऑफ social schemes you have to go through, and again those social schemes are based on constitutional provisions. You should be clear with that also. So constitution, gaining understanding of Indian polity, gaining understanding of Indian constitution gives you a a complete picture, a broad picture, and again with which you can come up, you can excel everywhere. All right. So uh, Indian polity is that important. It is that significant thing. Uh, all right. So this makes it quite important. Though you have to deal with many other things, there would be many other topics which you have to cover. Magar Indian polity is something again which we cannot ignore, which we have to always give importance. And for this, your approach should be uh, 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 first of all, you should be clear with the articles which are there in the Indian Constitution. You all must have Bare Act. If you don't have, kindly buy it. Bare Act is must. Bare Act सबके पास होना चाहिए. You should be clear with whatever articles we are going through. So we would be telling you what we are covering. So आप उसी हिसाब से जो भी concerned articles हैं, आप उसको टिक करते रहें, आप उसको करते रहें अच्छे से. देन इसके अलावा जो पास्ट क्वेश्चन पेपर्स हैं, ठीक है, आप वो जरूर देखते रहें कि जो टॉपिक हम कवर कर रहे हैं उन टॉपिक से जुड़े हुए जो प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस हैं वो आप कितने कंफर्टेबल हैं, आप कहाँ तक उनको आंसर कर पा रहे हैं, नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. दिस हैज टू बी डन. ऑलराइट. एंड इफ यू आर डन विद दिस, एंड देन द थर्ड थिंग इज यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ कि व्हाट वी हैव इन द सिलेबस, हैव यू कवर्ड दैट और नॉट. All right. So first of all, at first stage, you should be clear with the articles, whatever is there in the syllabus, whatever has been asked in the previous years, you should be done with that. Then the उसके आगे की जो understanding है, for that the best approach is for Indian polity. Let me tell you what comes in the newspaper. Newspaper में जो editorials आते हैं, that are very important for you all. ठीक है. कोई भी कन्फ्लिक्ट है, कोई भी गवर्नमेंट लेवल का कन्फ्लिक्ट है, कोई भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एस्पेक्ट है, कोई भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहा है कंट्री में, अगेन फॉर दैट देयर आर सर्टेन आर्टिकल्स विच कम अप इन द न्यूज़पेपर. तो न्यूज़पेपर से जो कि बुक्स जो होती हैं, बुक्स आर अगेन ऑब्सलीट. जो कि जो चेंजेस आते रहते हैं वो चीजें आपको बुक्स में नहीं मिलेंगी. बुक को कि एक बार लिख दिया गया तो फिर वो उसका जो रिवीजन है वो 2 साल बाद, 4 साल बाद, 5 साल बाद होता है. ठीक है. तो जो जो करंट पोजीशन है दैट यू विल गेट ओनली इन द न्यूज़पेपर. तो जो करंट इंफॉर्मेशन होती है, और खासकर यूपीएससी के लिए बेटा, दे डोंट आस्क यू एनीथिंग इन randomly. They don't ask. If there is a question that would be in news, that issue must be in the news. ऑलराइट. ये नहीं कि कहीं से भी उठा के आपको क्वेश्चन दे दिया. यूपीएससी में ये चीज आपको नहीं मिलेगी. अगर कोई भी क्वेश्चन आपसे पूछते हैं वो किसी भी लेवल पर, तो अगेन दैट वुड बी रिलेवेंट और वो करंट अफेयर्स पे बेस्ड होता है. तो करंट अफेयर्स में न्यूज़ में क्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजीशन, क्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहे हैं, तो उसकी जानकारी आपको बेस्ट जो है वो न्यूज़पेपर से ही मिल सकती है. तो वट एवर एडिटोरियल्स आर देयर, वट एवर आर्टिकल्स आर देयर, अगेन यू शुड बी, मतलब आप उसको केवल पढ़िए ना और केवल उसका फोटो खींच के ना रखिए. जब फोटो ही रह जाएगी आपके डिवाइस में, आप उसको दोबारा खोल के देखेंगे भी नहीं. आपको कोई भी अच्छा आर्टिकल मिलता है, पेन इट डाउन, आप उसको लिख लें. आपने एक बार चीजों को लिख लिया तो अगेन यू हैव अ कंट्रोल ओवर दैट. यू हैव अ कंट्रोल, यू गेन कंट्रोल ओवर दैट. वो फिर आपके दिमाग से कहीं भी इधर उधर स्किप नहीं होता. ठीक है. तो दिस इज द अप्रोच विच वी वुड बी यूजिंग. नाउ लेट्स start our topic today, and there can be different topics with which we can start, but we would be starting with what do you mean by this preamble? Yes, what is preamble? It is a gist of the constitution. It is a introduction to the constitution. ठीक है. कोई भी डिटेल्ड जो चीज होती है ना बेटा, कोई भी ये डिटेल्ड जो चीज होती है, हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बारे में कहा जाता है. साइलेंट फीचर जब हम करेंगे हम आपको बताएंगे कि हमारा जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है मॉडर्न कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, बहुत पुराना नहीं है, मॉडर्न है, लार्जेस्ट है, लेंथिएस्ट है. ठीक है. So the thing is कि we have a detailed provisions, काफी आर्टिकल्स, क्लियर, एक ब्रॉड पिक्चर है, डिटेल्ड डॉक्यूमेंट है, अगर डॉक्यूमेंट वाइज हम देखें तो अगेन every time we cannot go through all articles, all right. So practically a just is required, introductory statement, एक इंट्रोडक्शन है बेटा, एक इंट्रोडक्शन टू आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विच गिव्स अस द आइडिया ऑफ द बेसिक वैल्यूज विच वी हैव, the basic values which we have are in our constitution, all right. About preamble you can mention, when we go through this preamble thing, it presents the intention of the constitution, it presents the intention. What was the intention? इंटेलेक्चुअल डिबेट हो रही थी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनने से पहले, कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली जो थी, काफी डिबेट्स हुए थे, काफी डिस्कशंस हुए थे, ठीक है. व्हाट वर द इंटेंशंस, वन थिंग. सेकंड इज द हिस्ट्री ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, कोर वैल्यूज, हिस्ट्री, कोर वैल्यूज which are followed in a nation, core values, very important, core values. What are the sources, of constitution? Nature of Indian state, what is the nature of Indian state? One of the nature we have discussed here when we were talking about police state versus welfare state. Before independence we were police state, orientation was different. After independence we became welfare state, orientation changed drastically. All right, so this is there. All right, and so it is, in other words, it is a preamble from where our constitution starts. All right, next is just write a phrase, that is we the people of India, we the people of India, we the people of India, we the people of India. One more thing which I want to focus upon, and again which will make this interesting also. Normally we have an understanding that this is an introduction of Indian Constitution, but what we have to be clear with this, that uh, each and every word which is there in the preamble, the framing of words, all right, that had certain meaning, all right, that had certain meaning. एग्जाम्पल देता हूं, जस्टिस, लिबर्टी, इक्वलिटी, आता ना, लिबर्टी सेकंड नंबर पे क्यों रखा? ऐसी भी चीजें जो हैं वो यहाँ पर हैं, और इसका जो सिग्निफिकेंस है, इसको समझने का जो पर्पस है, अगेन दैट विल हेल्प यू इन फ्रेमिंग डिफरेंट आंसर्स. बेटा बहुत सारी चीजें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजीशंस पे जब आपको अपना पॉइंट रखना होगा, तो अगेन यू वुड बी getting lots of material from preamble using which you will frame your answer, all right. And even in your essay also, जो कि essay में भी जो आपको लिखने होते हैं, essay में भी कई बार constitutional position को आपको reflect करना होता है, ठीक है. तो again the understanding which you would be getting in this preamble discussion is that when you will go through how the words are framed, what was the purpose of keeping liberty at second stage, why justice was given more importance. Again, you will get lots of material, and please, I want you all to make your own notes. If you have, आप उसी को अमेंड करते रहें, कोई चीज आपको एडिशनल मिलती है, अगर सेम चीजें मिल रही हैं आप उसको अंडरलाइन करते रहें. अगर आपके अपने नोट्स नहीं बने हुए हैं, प्लीज मेक योर ओन नोट्स, जो कि अगेन टेक दिस नॉलेज एज अ बर्ड, फ्लाइंग बर्ड. जब तक आप उसको एक पिंजरे में नहीं रखेंगे, इट विल फ्लाई. पिंजरा जो है, दैट इज योर ओन नोट्स. व्हेन यू विल मेक योर ओन नोट्स, it will remain. You will have command over that. It will not fly away. All right. So please, जिन्होंने भी अपने नोट्स अभी तक नहीं बनाए हैं या जो नोट्स नहीं बना रहे हैं, तो my this advice to them is that please make your own notes. There is lots of material beta offline, online. ठीक है. But the thing is how much you can retain. That is more important. How much you can retain. एंड दैट रिटेनिंग थिंग इज कि आप कैसे उसको यूज करके प्री के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स लगा पाएंगे, आप कैसे उसको यूज करके मेंस के आंसर्स को लिख पाएंगे, उसको यूज करके आप इंटरव्यू फेस कर पाएंगे, आप उसको यूज करके हाउ यू वुड बी राइटिंग योर एसे. दैट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. ऑलराइट, सो यू नीड टू हैव दैट विजडम.